Crazy, this is crazy, this is crazy! Ethan, what are you doing?
You're going to come back, so you need to leave right now. Where is it?
See it?
No.
The first episode of Stranger Things opens up in the 1980s. Deep beneath the quiet town of Hawkins lies a government lab. This lab hides more than just research. Suddenly alarms blare, and a terrified scientist runs through the flickering corridors. Something's on the loose, something very terrifying. He reaches the elevator, frantically pressing the buttons. But before the doors can close, the mysterious creature arrives. Then the scene shifts to a house in Hawkins, where four boys, Mike, Lucas, Dustin, and Will, are playing Dungeons & Dragons in the house basement. They're battling a monster in their campaign. Mike, the dungeon master, warns about the Demogorgon, which is a demonic figure. Will rolls the dice, and it's a 7. He fails and the Demogorgon wins. But before they can finish, Mike's mom calls down because it's getting late. The game ends, but Will admits the truth, he missed, and that he lost to the Demogorgon. Moments later, the boys grab their bikes and ride through the dark streets of Hawkins. As Will pedals alone down a dark road, he sees something. A tall shadow standing by the woods. The headlights flicker and he crashes. In a state of panic, he leaves his bike and runs home through the woods. He enters through the front door, but nobody is at home to help him. He looks out the window and the same shadowy figure is approaching him. He tries to call for help, but hears a screeching sound. Then Will rushes to the shed, trembling, loads his father's shotgun, and aims at the door. He can hear the monster approaching. Suddenly, the light bulb of the shed glows very bright, and next moment, Will Byers disappears. The next morning, his mother Joyce wakes up to find his bed empty. Her eldest son Jonathan hasn't seen him either. She calls the Wheelers' house, but she said he left after 8 last night. Her voice shakes as she hangs up. Something's wrong. Meanwhile, at Hawkins High School, Mike's sister Nancy is lost in her own romantic world. She tells her friend about Steve Harrington, the popular guy she's now dating. Steve has left a note in her locker, asking her to meet him in the bathroom. At the same time, Police Chief Jim Hopper starts another ordinary day. He strolls into the station late, hungover, joking with his secretary, until she mentions Joyce Byers, and that her boy's missing. And suddenly, Hopper's smirk fades. Joyce waits in his office, seeing him as a figure of hope. Hopper assures her it's probably nothing. Kids run off all the time. But Joyce knows her son. Will wouldn't just disappear.
99 out of 100 times, kid goes missing. Kid is with a parent or a relative.
You said 99 out of 100. What about the other times? The one.
Hopper says he's probably with his father, but Joyce says she will talk to him first. Only then Hopper can talk to him.
Find my son. Find him.
Back at the Hawkins lab, armed men in hazmat suits move through the dark corridors where the mysterious thing attacked. The walls are covered in something gooey. They talk about containment and the girl who has escaped. She couldn't have gotten far. Not far away, that same girl with head shaved and a hospital gown sneaks into a roadside diner. She's starving and starts eating food from the kitchen. Just then, the owner catches her stealing food.
Think you can steal from me, boy?
Meanwhile, the boys regroup at school. Mike, Lucas, and Dustin can't focus. After their class, they ask their science teacher about the radio equipment. The teacher takes them to the radio room. The boys are excited to try the new radio equipment, but their excitement is cut short. The police arrive and interrogate the kids. The tension grows. Hopper strictly tells the kids to stay at home after school. Joyce goes to Will's secret fort called Castle Byers. The forest is silent. Then she sees a flashback, where Will was laughing and showing her drawings. But now, she's shouting Will's name in the woods. At the diner, the restaurant owner, Benny, gives her a meal. He tries to ask her if she's lost. Between bites, she finally speaks one word, 11. It's her name. Benny then calls child services, hoping to help the girl. While he's on the phone, 11 looks at the fan and stops it from spinning with her psychic powers. Out near the woods, Chief Hopper finds something. It's Will's bike, abandoned by the road. It's quite strange, as bikes are very important for these kids. He heads to the Byers' house. He tells Joyce about Will's bike. Then he searches the house and finds a mark on the wall, which means Will did come home and left in a hurry. Then he goes to the shed and finds bullets scattered. The shed light flickers just like last night. Something definitely happened here. He orders a full search. The police search in the woods at night. There, the science teacher and Hopper talk about Will. Then Hopper tells him about his daughter and that she lives with her mom in the city. Then someone tells the teacher that his kid died a few years ago. Meanwhile, the boys talk over the radio and plan to find Will in the woods at night. Just as Mike was leaving, he saw Steve climbing to Nancy's room. Cut to the diner, the child services team arrives. Benny welcomes her in to take 11. But then this happens.
Voice sounds different.
Turns out she works at the same sketchy lab we saw earlier. Seeing this, 11 runs for her life. Armed men rush in, searching for the girl. But she's gone. She killed 2 armed men while trying to escape off screen. Cut to Nancy's room, Steve sneaks in through her window, and they start, studying. But soon they give up and start kissing. Meanwhile, Joyce and Jonathan prepare missing posters for Will. Jonathan thinks that it's his fault, that his brother is gone, as he worked overtime and didn't come home early. Just then, the phone rings. Joyce picks up, but all she hears is someone breathing, and a terrifying growling sound.
Will? What have you done to my boy?
Before she can say anything, the phone gets fried. Meanwhile, the boys reunite and search the woods themselves to find Will. They call out Will's name.
Will!
Dustin is scared something might happen to them too. Just then, they hear something moving. Branches crack and they turn around to see it's 11 shivering in the cold. The boys bring 11 back to Mike's basement, where they ask her several questions, but she doesn't talk or answer. Then Mike gives her some dry clothes to change.
No! Oh my God!
11 doesn't understand the concept of privacy. While she's changing, they discuss who she is and speculate where she came from. Lucas says maybe she escaped from the local asylum, but none of them can call their parents, because if they do, they'll all get grounded, and then they might never find Will. So Mike makes a decision she can stay the night, just for now. When he asks her name, she points to a tattoo on her wrist, the number 11. He calls her L.
Maybe we can call you L, short for 11.
The next morning, Chief Hopper shows up at the Byers' house. He searched all night and found nothing. Joyce insists she heard her son on the phone. She heard his breathing and his voice. Hopper tries to calm her down. He knows what grief does to people.
Was him.
Joyce.
But Joyce makes him emotional by mentioning his daughter.
You think I don't know my own son's breathing? Wouldn't you know your own daughter's?
Then Hopper leaves to question Will's father, Lonnie. At the Wheeler home, Mike shoves all the food as fast as possible, then brings her a cold Eggo waffle for breakfast. Then he suggests that he'll tell his mom about her, and then she can call someone for help. She shakes her head saying no.
No? No.
She tells him that bad people are after her, very bad people. Then they are interrupted by Mike's mother. Meanwhile, Steve Harrington invites Nancy to a party at his friend's house. She agrees, even though her best friend Barbara clearly hates the idea. Then Jonathan puts a poster on the notice board about Will. Nancy shares her condolences for Will and his family. Mike skips school to keep Elle company. Then he shows her around. Mike shows her how to rest like his lazy father on the couch. On the other hand, Jonathan drives to his father's place. Then the radio plays the song, Should I Stay or Should I Go? He remembers singing this song with Will, laughing together. Joyce goes to work and begs her boss for a 2 weeks advance and new phone, and also a pack of cigarettes. While she's gone, men in hazmat suits quietly arrive at the Byers' house. They take readings in the shed and find something moving and alive. There, Mike's mom returns home. Unexpectedly, he hides Elle in the closet. Inside that dark space, she gets flashbacks of when she was being locked in a cell. She curls up trembling on the floor as screams echo in her head. At the police station, Hopper gets word about a supposed suicide of Benny in his own diner. He arrives at the scene, and it's clearly staged. But in the 80s, there were no things such as an autopsy, so they believe it's real.
Benny was my friend.
Meanwhile, Jonathan arrives at his dad's house hoping for answers. But Will is not there. They get into an argument about how Lonnie was never a good dad. Jonathan leaves the missing poster behind and drives off. Back in the basement, the boys argue about what to do with Elle. Mike believes that the bad people are hunting 11. Maybe those people took Will. Lucas says they should tell the adults, but Mike refuses. Then Lucas tries to leave, but the door slams shut. Elle did it all with her mind. At the station, Hopper learns that Benny was seen with a boy before his death, one with a shaved head. He assumes it might have been Will. Finally, they get a lead. The search for Will pushes toward the outskirts of town. Police dogs lead Hopper and the volunteers to a storm drain. Inside, they find a torn piece of fabric. After that, they reach a fence marked Hawkins National Laboratory. Something about that place doesn't sit right. Back at Mike's house, the boys bring Elle some leftover meatloaf and apologize to her. They tell her about friendship and about spit promise.
It's a bond.
Now she feels a little comfortable. That night, Nancy and Barb show up at Steve's party, but there are only 5 people there. Just a few teens, some beer, and bad decisions waiting to happen. In the basement, Elle studies the D&D board. She picks up Will's game piece, stares at it, then flips the board upside down.
Hiding.
When Mike asks who he is hiding from, she slams down the Demogorgon figure. Silence fills the room. Out in the woods, Jonathan wanders with his camera, snapping photos for the missing poster, or maybe something more. Then he hears a scream and runs. But it's not Will. It's the party, Steve and Nancy fooling around while Barb sits alone by the pool. They drink beer and Nancy convinces Barb to drink. She cut off her hand while trying to open the can. She goes to the bathroom inside. Then all of them start enjoying in the pool. Jonathan stays hidden, clicking photos. At the Byers' house, Joyce's phone rings again. She thinks it's Will and tells him to talk to her. Then she hears Will's distorted voice saying, "Mom." Then the phone sparks and gets fried again. The lights in the house begin to flicker, leading her into Will's room. Then his favorite song, Should I Stay or Should I Go, starts playing on its own. She realizes that her son is talking through the lights, but then something terrifying stretches to come out of the wall. Joyce screams and runs out of the house. She was about to drive off, but then she saw a light flickering in Will's room and returned to the house. At the pool, Nancy tells Barbara to go home, while she goes upstairs with Steve. Barb goes outside and sits near the pool. Then the blood drops into the pool. Jonathan captures Nancy getting naked, and also Barb sitting beside the pool. But just when Jonathan lowers his camera to check, the lights flicker again. And when Jonathan looks back, Barb is gone. Only silence remains. Barb opens her eyes, but this isn't the world she knows. The pool she was sitting beside is now empty, cold, and wrapped in the same gooey vines. Now she sees the same monster and tries to run away. Meanwhile, Steve and Nancy are making love. She hears a faint voice of Barb, but she ignores it. Barb screams Nancy's name before she is dragged into the same pool. The next morning, Barb is gone. Nancy sneaks home and finds her mother waiting for her. She lies and says she was in the assembly for Will's family. Then she went out to eat. Her mother sighs and tells her she can talk to her about anything, but Nancy just nods and walks away. At the Byers' house, Joyce shows Jonathan the Christmas lights she's been hanging everywhere. She believes Will is speaking through them.
Will, can you show him what you showed me, baby?
Then one bulb flickers, but Jonathan blames it on the electricity. Frustrated, Jonathan looks at her and tells her to stop, because she's not making any sense at all. At school, Nancy finds that Barb didn't come to school. Nancy feels something's wrong. Chief Hopper pulls up to Hawkins' lab. The guard tries to turn him away, but Hopper convinces him that it will take only 10 minutes. Meanwhile, Eleven is alone at the Wheeler. She goes upstairs, turns on the TV, and sees a Coca-Cola commercial. Then she gets a flashback hit her, where Dr. Brenner, which she calls Papa, watches as she crushes the can with her mind. At the Byers' house, Joyce hangs a bunch of Christmas lights everywhere, so she can communicate with Will, but she realizes that she doesn't have enough. So she goes to her workplace and buys 19 boxes of Christmas lights, and a new phone. Meanwhile, Hopper searches the area near the pipe, but the scientists claim nothing happened, as the cameras would have caught it.
Those cameras, you keep the tapes?
Then Hopper is shown the CCTV footage, but there is nothing on the footage. But Hopper notices something strange. The night of Will's disappearance was rainy. The tape shows nothing like rain. It means one thing.
You're lying.
The boys are gathering rocks near the woods for Slingshot. Then Lucas points out how Mike has fallen in love with Elle.
Oh, I love you so much!
Just then, two bullies show up. They push Mike to the ground, but before anything worse happens, the bullies leave. Meanwhile, Jonathan creates the photos he took. When a girl walks in, Jonathan quickly takes the photos and leaves. Meanwhile, Joyce has made the house like a Christmas party is about to happen. Just then, the door knocks, and it's Mike's mom, Mrs. Wheeler. At the same time, Hopper goes to the library, skimming through old newspapers, searching for anything he could find about Hawkins' National Laboratory. They find out about missing children, lawsuits, and government cover-ups. Everything leads to the same lab and one man, Dr. Martin Brenner. At the Byers, Mrs. Wheeler and Joyce talk about Will, while her daughter goes after the flickering lights, which leads her into Will's room and lights start flickering. Then she notices something coming out the wall. Joyce runs and stops her.
Hey! She shouldn't be here.
Then she asks them to leave. At school, Steve and his squad corner Jonathan. They take his bag and check his photos. They call him a pervert and insult him. Steve tears all the photos apart, and then gives him the camera back. Jonathan's eyes fill with rage, but he doesn't fight back. He just picks up what's left and walks away. In the woods, Elle is waiting to meet the boys. There she spots a cat and freezes. She gets a flashback again, where she was forced to explode a cat with her powers, and when she didn't comply, she was thrown in the same cell. But before they could lock her in, she just straight up murders those two guards. Then she becomes weak. Papa is proud of her.
Incredible.
Then he carries and takes her somewhere. Back in the present, Elle notices a cut on his chin. Elle tells Mike that friends don't lie. Nancy grows desperate and goes to search for Barb. She returns to Steve's house in the pool. The air feels colder now. Then she sees something move in the woods. This scares the hell out of her and she runs away. At the Byers' house, light starts flickering. Joyce finally tries to talk to Will.
Will, are you here?
And this time Will actually responds. She asks him where she can find him, but since yes and no won't work, so she creates a new way to communicate with Will and writes a bunch of letters on the wall, each with its own light. At the library, Hopper suspects that Dr. Brenner, aka Papa, is a shady guy and he suspects Will's disappearance might have something to do with it, but the other cop doesn't believe it because he is terrible at his job. Just then they get a call and they leave immediately. Out in the woods, Elle leads the boys to Will's house. She points, saying he's hiding there, but since Elle can't explain clearly, they don't understand. They argue and start blaming her. Then they hear police sirens echo nearby. They race toward the sound. Meanwhile, Joyce asks Will, "Where are you?" He spells through the lights, "Right here." Then she asks, "What should I do?" Then he spells, "Run." Suddenly, the lights in the entire house start flickering. Then the wall bulges. A clawed hand comes out of the wall. Joyce screams and runs out of the house. The boys follow the police to the quarry. There, they see officers pull something out of the water. It's the lifeless corpse of Will. Mike froze in shock. As Elle had promised, he was alive. He looks at her and gets mad.
You said he was alive! Why did you lie to us?
Mike goes home and cries to his mom. While driving, Jonathan finds his mom running, and they both embrace each other. The cops arrive at the Byers' house. Hopper tells her they've found Will's body. Joyce refuses to believe what she's hearing. Jonathan is deeply upset. Joyce says that's not my boy because she had just talked to him.
It's after him. He's in danger. We have to find him.
She explains how she spoke to Will through the lights. Then she tells him about the monster that came out of the wall.
It had these long arms and it didn't have a face.
But to everyone else, she sounds insane. When the police leave, Joyce locks the door behind them. She grabs an axe and sits on the couch. If that monster comes back, she'll be ready. In Mike's basement, Mike stares at Will's old D&D drawings. Elle fiddles with the walkie-talkie, trying to reach someone. Mike snaps, accusing her of lying. She looks at him but doesn't stop. Then they hear Will singing his favorite song. Mike freezes in shock. He tries to talk to Will, but he doesn't get any answer.
Will, is that you? It's Mike. Will!
Who's that? Will.
The next day, Mike's mom lets him skip school. As soon as she leaves for work, he grabs the radio and calls Lucas and Dustin.
This is about Will.
What about Will?
Get over your stat. Over and out.
At the morgue, the receptionist tells Hopper someone from the state did the autopsy, and Hopper gets suspicious. Joyce and Jonathan finally see Will's body.
He has a birthmark on his right arm. Can you show that to me, please?
Joyce burst out the room saying that is not my son.
Is not my son.
Meanwhile, Nancy tries to tell Steve about what she saw in the woods. A guy in a mask.
I don't think it was a mask.
But he had no face?
But Steve is more worried about the party, about his parents finding out. He doesn't care about Barb at all. Nancy stares at him in disbelief. She quietly walks away because her friend is missing.
I can't believe you.
Nancy! Nancy!
Meanwhile, Jonathan tries to calm his mother down in public. Because she sounds so crazy, she has to accept it. But she won't listen.
I know it sounds crazy, but I heard him, Jonathan. He talked to me. I don't care if anyone believes me. I am going to bring him home.
And then Joyce walks away. Back at Mike's, the boys gather in the basement. He plays them the walkie-talkie recording, but all they hear is faint crying. Lucas says it's just a ghost, but Mike isn't giving up.
All I know is Will is alive. Will is alive.
They need to get Elle to a stronger radio signal, and there's only one place to get it, the school's AV room. To sneak Elle inside school, they come up with a plan. A wig and a dress from Nancy's closet. At Hawkins' lab, the scientists prepare for something terrifying. A man in a full hazmat suit stands before a rippling wall of darkness, the gate. He goes through the gate to the other dimension. The police questioned Nancy about Barb being missing. Nancy tells everything in detail, even about what happened with Steve. At school, the science teacher catches the boys sneaking into the AV room. He asks about Elle, but the boys cover for her really well.
Eleanor. She's my cousin, second cousin.
He takes them to the assembly for Will.
Abort!
At home, Nancy notices Barb in one of the torn photos from the night she disappeared. She pieced it together, and in the corner, she saw a weird creature approaching her. It might be the same creature she saw by the pool. At the lab, Dr. Brenner talks to the person who went inside the portal over the radio. Everything seems fine, then suddenly they hear the sound of a monster on the radio. The tether jerks violently, and the man screams. When they pull him back, only a broken harness covered in blood returns. During the assembly, the bullies whisper and laugh about Will's death. Mike hears them and gets furious. After the assembly, he shoves Troy hard. The bully steps forward to hit him, but suddenly he freezes. He was unable to do anything. And then his pants darken as everyone watches. Elle's nose bleeds, and Mike realizes Elle is doing this. Everyone laughed as Troy peed himself. Meanwhile, Jonathan goes coffin shopping. Then Nancy shows up. She shows him the photo.
I don't know. It's weird.
Nancy tells him about what she saw in the woods. Then she tries to leave.
What do you look like?
He didn't have
a face?
They both realize there's something definitely wrong. This means Joyce isn't crazy after all. Hopper is now also convinced that something's off. He visits the man in a bar who discovered the body. He buys him a drink and then they start talking. He smartly asks some questions and realizes that the man is lying. Outside, he beats the shit out of him. The man says he was told to report it and not let anyone get close to the body. Then he noticed a black car was watching. When Hopper steps out, the car quickly drives away. In the AV room, Elle gets another flashback. She remembers being forced to locate people through radios, and somehow she's able to play what they're saying through the radio. Back to the present, she focuses. And once again, Will's voice cuts through. At the same time, in the Byers' house, Joyce hears pounding from the wall. She calls out, "Will, it's me!" She scratches the wallpaper and sees Will on the other side. The boys also listen to everything that's happening. They realize that Will is for sure alive. Then the monster arrives.
It's coming! Listen to me! I will find you! You have to run now!
And it snaps shut on its own. The radio catches fire and the boys take Elle outside. Joyce grabs her axe, swings at the wall. She breaks the wall and nothing's there. Meanwhile, Jonathan develops the same photo with Nancy. They awkwardly talk about how much of a creep he is. When the image clears, both of them stare. There it is, the monster, the Demogorgon. Jonathan realizes his mother was right all along. That night, Hopper sneaks into the morgue. He knocks the guard unconscious. He gets inside and then takes a scalpel and cuts open his chest. The body is filled with cotton. Will's body is actually fake. He exhales, trembling with rage and disbelief. Then, without second thought, he grabs his gun and heads straight for Hawkins' lab. Outside the Byers' house, Joyce and her husband reunite once again. Hopper sneaks into the Hawkins lab. Slipping through corridors, he finds a gate, but it's locked. Just then, guards show up behind him. Hopper tries to explain.
Dr. Brenner asked for me specifically.
What's your name again?
It's Jim Hopper.
Then Hopper throws a punch and takes both of their guns. Then Hopper takes his ID and unlocks the door. Back at the Byers' house, Lonnie pours whiskey for Joyce. She doesn't even look at him. She tried to convince him that he's alive. She knows Will is still out there.
He was right there. I knew he was alive.
But Lonnie says it's only in your head. Hopper is searching in the corridors for Will. Then he enters a room where there is a doll and a drawing on the wall. In Mike's basement, the boys debate what Will meant when he said he was somewhere like home. Yale listens quietly, then whispers one word.
Upside down.
He understands that when Elle first told them about Will's location, she flipped the D&D board. Mike connects the dots instantly. It's a parallel dimension, a dark version of their world.
This is Hawkins. This is where Will is. Upside down.
Hopper continues to search for Will and goes into the elevator. The elevator door shuts right before the guards. In the lab's lowest level, Hopper finds a pulsing red light seeping from a wall. The same gooey stuff is everywhere. Just then, something moves behind him. He steps closer to check. But men in hazmat suits overpower and sedate him instantly. At the Byers' house, Jonathan walks in. He's shocked to see the hole in the wall. Lonnie pretends to be a good father, but Jonathan's done pretending. He sees through his fake sympathy. The next morning, the town gathers for Will's funeral. But Jonathan, Nancy, and Joyce know that the body is not real. The boys watch from the back, whispering to each other. As everyone starts to leave, Joyce gets a flashback where Will was coloring his D&D hero. Hopper wakes up in his trailer. He checks outside the house. Then he tears his trailer apart, flips the table, rips the curtains, opens the lamps. And then he finds it, a small transmitter hidden in his light. They bugged him. At the lab, they're listening to everything. The recording of the night when Joyce saw Will in the wall. Dr. Brenner knows that 11 was there.
She was there.
Meanwhile, Nancy and Jonathan start mapping the monster's sightings. Every strange event happened all in the same area. Jonathan takes a revolver and some ammo to kill this monster for good. At the school, a repairman from Hawkins' lab fixes the radio and plants a bug under the principal's nose. That night, the boys go to their science teacher. They ask the strangest question of all. If another dimension existed, how would we get there? Theoretically, he explains that it would require a massive amount of energy to open some kind of tear in time and space.
Create a doorway.
And if that gate already existed, it would disrupt gravity and the magnetic fields.
Science is neat, but I'm afraid it's not very forgiving.
Later, officers show up at Hopper's trailer. They tell him another person's gone missing and Barb's car was found at a bus station. And of course, it was found by the government too. At home, Lonnie plays the perfect father again, fixing walls and removing lights. Then he talks about how the quarry doesn't have fences or any warning signs. The Sadler company who owns the quarry should be held accountable. Back in Mike's basement, Dustin the genius figures out that the compass's north is incorrect. Then he teaches them how the compass works, and that in presence of a stronger magnetic field, the compass deflects towards it, which means
they should lead us to the gate.
Joyce finds a document of a law firm. Now she knows why he's here. He's here for the money, not for Will or his family. Lonnie tries to lie again, saying it's for Jonathan's college. Joyce explodes, calling him a fraud and throwing him out of the house.
Get out!
Nancy and Jonathan meet again in the woods. He practices shooting and fails miserably. She takes the gun, aims, and nails the target in one clean shot. Out in the fields, the boys start going in the direction of the compass. Lucas notices that Elle is acting weird. Then she gets a flashback, when she was sent into a water chamber to locate someone very far away. Hopper returns to Joyce, telling her not to speak. He sees the house with all the lights.
Oh, Jesus.
He checks every inch of her house to make sure it's not bugged. She stares at him confused, then he tells her the truth. They bugged his place because he was onto them, and they knew it all along, and that Will's body was fake.
This whole time you were right.
Dustin notices something strange. The compass is taking them back to home. Lucas grows suspicious. He says Elle's been lying. She explains that it's not safe.
It's not safe.
But Lucas doesn't believe her. The argument turns ugly, and he calls her a monster. Mike and Lucas start fighting, then Elle snaps. Mike screams his name, but he doesn't move.
Why would you do that? What is wrong with you?
Elle gets the same flashback where she located the man in some shadow dimension. Then she heard a monster roaring. Then she started crying in the water chamber. After some time, Lucas regains consciousness. He is furious at the boys. He gets up and walks away. In the woods, Nancy and Jonathan hear something. They go in the direction of sound and they find a deer that is barely alive. Nancy pulls out the gun to end its misery. Before he can pull the trigger, something drags the deer away. They chase it through the trees. Jonathan searches left, Nancy goes right. Then she finds it, a hole in a tree pulsing like a heartbeat. She calls for Jonathan, but hears no answer. And Nancy does the unthinkable. She crawls inside the gooey hole. She has gone into the upside down world. It's very dark and cold here. Her flashlight flickers and then she sees a monster, the Demogorgon, feeding on the deer. She tries to step back, but instead trips and falls. Jonathan hears her screams and runs for help. He finds her bag, but Nancy is gone, but walks right past the portal in the tree. The hole in the tree begins to close. In the upside-down world, Nancy screams for help, her voice echoing through the woods.
Jonathan, I'm right here! I'm right here!
Jonathan can also hear her in the real world. Then Nancy sees the Demogorgon and hides behind a tree. Jonathan follows the sound until he finds the portal in the tree. It was still alive. Jonathan calls out Nancy to follow his voice. Jonathan pulls her out in the real world. Nancy bursts out covered in all gooey stuff. Then she hugs Jonathan, and the portal or the gate closes right before their eyes. The same night, Steve and his friends show up at Nancy's house. He climbs to the window and sees Jonathan in her room. Jonathan is comforting the scared Nancy and sees Nancy sitting beside Jonathan on her bed. Steve is clearly jealous. Meanwhile, Hopper tells Joyce everything. What he saw inside Hawkins' lab, the child's room, and the drawing. Joyce then takes out one of Will's drawings. Hopper then remembers the kid from Benny's diner, the one with the shaved head. He then tells her about a woman named Terry Ives. She sued the Hawkins lab and the government, claiming they took her daughter. Maybe it's all connected. Back in Nancy's room, she takes a bath. She insists Jonathan to stay as she's scared. Then she goes to bed, and he sleeps on the floor. Then she calls him to come up on the bed. The next morning, when Jonathan wakes up, he realizes that she couldn't sleep. She was thinking about this creature all night. They figured that the Demogorgon can sense blood, which means they can draw its attention by blood. Meanwhile, Hopper and Joyce go out to find answers. Across town, a woman from Hawkins' lab visits the science teacher. The proud teacher unknowingly gives her exactly what she wants. The names of the boys in the AV club. In Mike's basement, Dustin convinces Mike to apologize to Lucas. As Mike pushed first, meanwhile, Eleven sits alone out in the woods. Then she stares at her reflection in the puddle. Mike and Dustin show up at Lucas's house. They try to make things right, but Lucas doesn't want Elle in their group. Mike tries to explain that she's a weapon. They can use her against the Demogorgons, but Lucas walks away to find Will on his own. On the other hand, Elle steps into a supermarket. She walks through the aisles.
Is your mom here?
Mouth breather.
She stares at the shelves and finds her favorite, Eggos. She grabs all she could carry and walk right out without paying. Hopper and Joyce visit the woman who sued the Hawkins lab. Her name is Terry Ives. Joyce tries to explain her kid's situation, trying to get any information out of her, but her sister says,
I told you you're wasting your time.
Then her sister tells them that years ago she volunteered for experiments of mind control, but she got pregnant during those trials. The records claim it was a miscarriage. She tells Hopper that Terry believes that her child was born with powers like telepathy and telekinesis, and they took it away, but Hopper realizes Terry's right. Her sister believes it's just make-believe. At the same time, Lucas has followed his compass all the way to a tall fence. It's the edge of Hawkins' lab. Nancy and Jonathan get some tools, like bear traps, gasoline, knives, rope, and some ammo.
What are you kids doing with all this?
Monster hunting.
While loading the car, they notice the movie theater wall spray-painted with slurs about Nancy. Across the street, Steve and his gang laugh as they vandalize more. Nancy confronts them. Nancy says last night was not like he thinks it was.
You just let him in your room to study.
Jonathan steps in trying to pull her away, but when Steve mocks Joyce and Will's death, Jonathan snaps. Then the police show up and cuff Jonathan. Meanwhile, Hopper and Joyce are a bit disappointed with the answers. Just then, he gets a call from the police station. At the front desk, the woman tells Nancy, he must care a lot about you.
Only love makes you that crazy, sweetheart. And that damn stupid.
Then she iced his bruises. In the woods, Mike and Dustin search for Elle, but they're not alone. The bullies from school step out, one of them holding a knife. Meanwhile, Lucas notices his compass is moving abnormally. He climbs a tree to scout and spots black vans circling the roads. Something's happening. And then he spots the vans of the Hawkins lab. That's some shady shit. The bullies grab Dustin and threaten to cut his face, unless Mike jumps from the quarry cliff. Mike's voice shakes, but he doesn't hesitate. He steps to the edge and jumps. But he doesn't fall in the water. He's floating in the air. Mike floats up and goes back on the cliff, and then they see her. It was Elle who did this. She pushes one bully and breaks the arm of the other.
Go. Let's get out of here.
Then Elle collapses on the ground. She gets a flashback where she walks toward the Demogorgon, but when she touched it, the lab walls started breaking. She had opened a gate to the upside down. The gate was at Hawkins' lab.
The gate. I opened it. I'm the monster.
But Mike tells her she's not the monster, and then they all hug each other. Then the repairmen from before spot Elle going to Mike's home. Dr. Brenner and the guards of the lab arm them with guns and leave to take Elle back. The kids enter the house, while the lab vans move towards them. Elle is in the basement with Mike, just when they thought they had their moment. Dustin bursts into the basement.
It's Lucas. I think he's in trouble.
Lucas talks on the walkie, screaming.
They're coming!
doing? Bad men.
Mike goes upstairs and sees a lab van outside the window. He asks his mom if she called anyone for repairs. Dustin sees more vans pull up at Mike's house.
Mike!
We need to leave right now.
They quickly grab their bikes and leave right away. Lucas meets them halfway and the three of them pedal hard through the empty streets. Just then, vans appear behind them. Then one van appears in front of them, blocking the road. Elle uses her powers. The van lifts off the ground and crashes down in front of the other vans, blocking their path. Then they keep riding and go to the junkyard. Lucas looks at Eleven, the girl he once called a monster. He apologizes.
I was wrong. Friends don't lie. I'm sorry.
Then Mike and Lucas also clear their differences. Downtown, Joyce storms into the station and demands to take the cuffs off Jonathan.
Take them off!
The officers show him what they found. His car's trunk is full of these dangerous tools. Hopper and Joyce are very confused. Meanwhile, agents swarm the Wheeler house. They search each corner and every corner of the house. They take away everything related to Elle. Then they tell the parents that Mike has been hiding a girl in the basement and that he is in terrible danger. Outside town, Lucas sketches a rough map in the dirt. The fences and the lab in the center. The gate should definitely be there, but it's owned by the government. They can't just walk in and find the gate. Just then, a helicopter passes overhead, searching everywhere for Eleven. They hide their bikes and go into an abandoned bus. At the same time, Nancy and Jonathan regroup with Joyce and Hopper. Jonathan finally tells them about the Demogorgon and shows them a picture. Joyce can't stand hearing what her son's been through. He should have told her. Just then, they hear Troy's mom shouting at the cops. Troy tells the cops about the girl with the shaved head, about what she did, and she always hangs out with losers. The hunt closes in. Steve is still reeling from guilt. His friends are still talking shit about Nancy, but this time he stops them.
You're both assholes. That's my problem.
Then Steve takes his car and drives away. Nancy can't return home as it's under investigation. Hopper tells them they have to find the boys before the government does. Joyce and the others try contacting the boys through Will's old walkie, but the boys think it's a trick. But when Hopper gets on the walkie and says that he knows everything, Mike finally answers.
Mike,
We're here.
Meanwhile, Steve rubs off the slurs about Nancy from the theater board. At the junkyard, two cars pull up near the bus, and the three armed government agents come out to search the area. One agent was about to search the bus, when suddenly he is attacked by someone.
All right, let's go. Let's go!
Hopper takes them to the Byers house, and then the boys explain to them everything about the Upside Down, and how they found the gate, that inside Hawkins' lab. Then they ask Elle if she can find Will and Barb. Elle nods, saying yes. Everyone waits while Elle somehow tries to reach Will, but she can't find them. Maybe she's drained by using her powers. Then she goes to the washroom and gets an idea.
I can find them in the bath.
Dustin calls his science teacher and asks a science question. How can they build sensory deprivation tanks? Mr. Clark avoids the question but then gives the answer anyway. But for that they need lots of salt.
How much is lots?
1,500 pounds.
They go into Hawkins Middle School and build their own deprivation chamber. Hopper and Jonathan get the de-icing salt. They fill a kiddie pool with water, keeping just the right temperature. Then comes the salt. Dustin checks it by floating an egg in the water, and it's done. Joyce prepares a goggle for Elle to keep it dark. Elle steps inside and floats on the water. Within seconds, she goes into the void. The air grows cold, and then she sees it, lifeless Barbara lying there. Nancy asks if Barb is okay, but Elle starts screaming. Then Joyce tries to calm her down. Then Elle sees Castle Byers. She walks inside and finds Will. He looks very sick. Joyce tells her to say that Mom is coming.
we're coming.
Then the Castle Byers starts to disappear. Elle wakes up gasping for air. Now they have to hurry up. Hopper insists on going into the lab alone, but Joyce refuses.
He's my son, Hop. I'm going.
Jonathan tries to come, but she stops him. Left behind, Jonathan and Nancy decide they can't let the Demogorgon kill them too. They have to finish what they started.
I want to kill it.
They break into the station and steal their seized monster hunting gear. Inside Hawkins' lab, Hopper and Joyce are caught almost immediately. The scene cuts to Will in the Upside Down. He is singing his favorite song. Then suddenly he hears the Demogorgon. He becomes alert. At Hawkins' lab, Joyce is handcuffed to a chair. Then Dr. Brenner comes in and pretends to be a good person. He asks for her help. How did she contact his son Upside Down? But Joyce knows his little tricks.
Go to hell.
Meanwhile, Hopper is being electrocuted to reveal the truth. Hopper tells them he has told everything to his friend who works at Times, and he's gonna blow it up. Then Hopper offers a deal. If they let him and Joyce go into the gate to bring Will back, and they will forget that this ever happened. Back at the Byers house, Nancy and Jonathan put up the same Christmas lights, then set up their trap for the Demogorgon. Jonathan then makes the iconic Spikes bat, while Nancy loads the revolver. Dr. Brenner asks Hopper where is the girl. Hopper takes his word to leave the boys, and makes the deal. Joyce is also released. Then both of them are given hazmat suits, and sent down the elevator to the gate. Then Dr. Brenner and his team leave to find Eleven. Hopper and Joyce go into the Upside Down through the gate. Inside it's very dark and cold. The atmosphere is very toxic. They move forward to find Will. Meanwhile, Nancy and Jonathan cut their hands to draw the Demogorgon's attention, and then they wait for it to take the bait. Steve shows up unexpectedly, trying to apologize first to Nancy and Jonathan. But when he sees blood on her hand, he snaps. Inside, he sees all the weapons and freaks out. Jonathan pushes him to leave right now.
Steve, get out.
Just then, the lights started flickering. The ceiling starts moving. The Demogorgon bursts out of the ceiling. They all run into Will's room.
What the hell's that? Shut up!
They wait for a while, but it's pin drop silence. Then Jonathan steps out to check, but the Demogorgon is gone. In the Upside Down, Joyce finds the shattered castle Byers. There, Hopper finds a toy and gets a flashback. It was his daughter's favorite toy. She was diagnosed with cancer and didn't survive. Back at the Byers, they all come out to check, but the Demogorgon is gone.
Crazy, this is crazy, this is crazy!
Steve freaks and tries to call the police, but Nancy stops him and tells him to leave. Scared, Steve runs outside. Just as he was about to leave, the lights inside flicker again. Jonathan and Nancy start to panic. Then the lights go off and the Demogorgon appears behind Jonathan. It was about to finish him too. The monster goes after Nancy. Steve grabs a bat and swings wildly at the monster. Then the Demogorgon triggers the bear trap. Jonathan throws the lighter and the Demogorgon goes up in flames. Jonathan brings the fire extinguisher, since he doesn't want to burn the entire house. When the fire dies out, nothing remains.
Where'd it go?
It has to be that.
Then Joyce and Hopper enter her house in the Upside Down. Wherever they move in the Upside Down, the lights glow up at the same spot in the real world. Jonathan realizes it's his mom, not the monster. At the school, Mike and Elle get some time to talk. Mike tells her after this is over, his parents will adopt her. He then tells her that they'll go to Snowball together. But since he's not good at expressing love, he just simply kisses her. Then he hears cars coming and goes out to check. The government people have arrived. Mike goes inside and alerts the boys. The boys run through the corridors and get caught. They run in the opposite direction, but they are surrounded. Then Elle steps forward and uses her powers. All the guards start bleeding from the eyes and fall to the ground. Then Elle also collapses. She's drained. Then Dr. Brenner comes to take 11.
Step away from the child.
Eat shit!
They restrain the boys.
11, can you hear me?
Just then, the lights start flickering.
What?
The wall bursts open and a Demogorgon comes out. They start firing at the Demogorgon. Joyce and Hopper go inside the Hawkins library in the Upside Down. They search for Will and finally find him in a strange tube lodged down his throat. He's pale and not breathing. Hopper takes it out and kills it. The boys hide inside a classroom. Then a Demogorgon breaks through the door. The boys fight back with slingshots hopelessly. The Demogorgon gets very close. Then Lucas launches one last rock, and the monster goes flying. Elle stands up one last time. She moves forward as the Demogorgon screams. She looks at Mike one last time.
Bye, Mike.
Then she faces the creature, raises her hand, and screams. The Demogorgon disintegrates into dust, and Elle also disappears.
Ow! Ow, where are you?
In the Upside Down, Joyce and Hopper give CPR to Will, but the boy doesn't even flinch. After many tries, the boy gets up gasping for air. Hopper puts his mask on Will. Cut to the real world, Mrs. Wheelers finally get to see her son, Mike. Days later, Will wakes in a hospital bed. Joyce holds him, trembling with relief. Jonathan's eyes are full of tears. Then the boys come into the room. They tell him about everything that happened while he was gone, and that they made a new friend who saved their lives. A month later, life returns to Hawkins. The party reunites for another D&D game. This time, Will rolls a 14 and wins. They all start laughing. For once, it feels like everything's okay. Jonathan comes to pick up Will, but Mike still misses Elle. Nancy gives him a Christmas present. Will opens it and it's a new camera. Actually, it was Steve who bought it for him. He and Nancy are back together. Hopper borrows some candy and goes out in the woods. Then he puts the candy in a box for someone. At home, Joyce tries to move on with her life. The Byers family sits down for dinner, but when Will goes to the bathroom, he coughs and something small and slimy comes out of his mouth. He looks up and for a split second, he's back there, in the Upside Down. Then it all becomes normal. He wipes his mouth, smiles, and tells his mom that everything's fine. And with that, the season 1 of Stranger Things ends. If you want detailed series recaps like this for all the seasons of Stranger Things, then like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Goodbye.